The question is, can this marriage be saved? After last week's podcast on a season of struggle, I received an email that described a situation a couple was going through. And the situation is one where they weren't having desperate problems. It had just been a season that had gone on for a long time. A season where they loved each other, but they weren't in love with each other. The email ended with the question, can this marriage be saved?
You know, folks, we get that question a lot. We're going to answer it in our episode today, and we want to encourage you that the answer is absolutely it can be. But before we get started, I'm Jim.
And Christie.
Jacobus with YourMarriageMatters.com, and we are so excited that you joined us today. This is like our fifth podcast that we're doing on YouTube, so a YouTube cast or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
Episode 121. We're glad you're with us. Before we get too far, babe, we got a webinar. That is?
Tonight at 7 o'clock. We sure hope you can join us. We'll be going over 5 strategies for...
Tough talk for tough times. And, babe, these are the toughest times I think I've ever seen for marriages, for relationships. We're going to give you 5 very specific strategies. So if you want to join us, go to YourMarriageMatters.com/webinar1 and jump in there tonight. Be right there tonight. If for some reason you didn't hear this episode until after the webinar, still go to YourMarriageMatters.com/webinar1 and you can sign up and we'll send you the recording of the webinar. So glad you're joining us. My name is Jim and Christie Jacobus. We're glad you're here. If you're here for the very first time, this is a question we get a lot, babe. Can our marriage be saved? Is it worth saving? And our answer is absolutely. We don't necessarily going to say it's going to be easy. You're going to share with them a little bit about kind of the fact that however you got into this is not going to be as easily solved as getting into it was, or something like that. And then for those of you who've been with us for a while, a little heads up about today. We're going to give 2 completely different answers.
Right. When we were discussing this topic and this particular question, we both had different takes on it. And so today you're going to hear my correct answer. Just kidding.
The answer that comes from a professional counselor, that's for sure.
Yeah. And just in a different insight. And that's one of the things that can be unique about the situation is sometimes we see things differently. And today is no different.
Yeah, and by the way, you're going to find Christie's answer is a great answer, and it may fit for some of you. I think you'd say that my answer is going to be an equally great answer.
Yes.
Not a better answer, but equally great answer, and it may fit for some other folks, and we'll give you different insights there. So again, we're glad you're here with us. Babe, when we get emails like that, and we get them all the time, and you have them in your counseling office, I have them in my divorce care class. One of the things that always pops into my mind is the study out there that said people, and again, I'm going to mess this up a little bit, but basically 5 years after they get a divorce, a large percentage of them wish they hadn't.
Right.
Because they find out that it wasn't as easy as they thought. They found out that maybe they're a part of the problem as well. So when somebody asks you the question, how do you come at, can our marriage be saved? What are your thoughts?
Well, there's so many things that have to be taken into consideration when you're looking at a marriage. And one of them is the time. Problems in marriages usually don't happen overnight. So the solution to a marriage doesn't happen overnight. So
Kinda
you're
like
going
losing weight.
Exactly. Or anything that takes a change in pattern or a change in habit, it does take time. It does take a commitment to the relationship. It does take an all-in attitude. I will do whatever it takes to save our marriage. It does happen occasionally where a client will say to me, or somebody will come to me and say, can I save my marriage by myself? And the fact of the matter is, yes, you definitely can do that. But you have to be committed. You have to be all in. And when the description of the problem that this couple was having, and I didn't go into great detail because no matter what the problem is, no matter what struggle you're having, it is going to take commitment on your part. It is going to take commitment that you resolve it. So what are your thoughts on?
Well, I always come at this sort of the same way I come at training, which big surprise, right? Anytime there's a problem, I've learned a long time ago that it can be simply broken down into doesn't know, can't do, won't do. Either the couple doesn't know what to do, they can't do it, or they won't do it. And so whenever I think about can our marriage be saved, I go, okay, the reason your marriage is in trouble is because you don't know what to do, you can't do it, or you won't do it. For doesn't know, it really comes down to you got to learn.
Yeah.
All right. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges we see in marriages today is couples, fall in love, they get married. It may have taken a week. It may have taken a year. They may have been engaged or seriously dating for 5 years. But the day you say I do starts a completely different process. And you may not know what to do simply because you were never had great role models. You may not know what to do because you didn't have any training in advance. One of the reasons why you and I so much love doing the pre-married classes that we do, we kind of get them to think about a lot of different questions they haven't even thought about yet. So I think the first thing is let's check and see, do we know what to do? All right.
Exactly.
Do you know what to do as a husband? Do you know what to do as a wife? Do you know what to do as a couple? From there, I go to can't do it. All right. We know what to do, but we haven't had any practice. One of the things I love about when you and I do a program is Christie's always very committed to teaching skill sets. I like to teach principles. I love to teach scripture and things like that. And those principles in scripture are no good without Christie teaching skills. How do you communicate more effectively? And we've taught dozens of different communication methodologies and techniques. So there's all kinds of things to learn to do. How do you solve problems? All different kinds of ways to learn. Matter of fact, in our webinar that we're going to be doing tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, Tough Talk for Tough Times, we're going to be teaching both communication and conflict resolution.
Exactly.
Matter of fact, we're going to teach them a very favorite of those in the webinar tonight. But a lot of couples, we teach them methodologies for conflict resolution. This is not what we're teaching tonight, but we teach like rate the debate. And how many times have we had couples come back to us and go, we went home and used the rate the debate thing, and it was amazing how it helped us. Matter of fact, when you and I first started doing it, we were like going, wow, this is kind of a neat technology or methodology for solving problems. So learning what to do and practicing the skill sets, which, by the way, it's just like learning how to play golf. The first time you swing a golf club, the ball doesn't just magically jump off the club face, right? It takes practice. And that's where I think your whole idea of commitment and time comes in, is that if we got into the situation over a period of time because we didn't know what to do and now we do, and we had to practice any skill sets and now we have, it's going to take some time practicing those things to get to the place where, wait a minute, our communication's gotten a lot better. I would like to give you guys some hope out there. If you've watched here lately on our Facebook pages, we're in Maine, right outside of Bar Harbor. And babe, yesterday we went up to Cadillac Mountain on a beautiful clear morning and watched the sunrise. And we're posting things like that. You might look at us and go, oh, they have a perfect marriage. It's been perfect from the start. And folks, I'm going to tell you what, we went through a period of struggle too. I mean, I think I can say this fairly. You can chime in if you want. I think you and I could have written an email like that at some point in time. Can our marriage be saved? And the answer is absolutely it can be. But it didn't get saved overnight. It didn't get saved with one of us just trying to get better, although that's certainly a process we recommend, is become the best version of yourself. It got saved because we both felt like this was worth saving. And that's where the third reason won't do. I think a lot of people won't do it because they believe that the marriage that they're in, you may believe your marriage is not worth saving. And I think you and I both say, oh yeah, it is. Because our marriage is richer simply because I think we've gone through some tough times together. We've gone through some struggles together, both internal that we created, some that I created, some you created, some were created just simply by the fact that marriage is not easy.
Right.
And I think people think marriage is easy is going to be in for a struggle. But I will tell you this, and your marriage is worth saving. And the challenges and struggles and difficulties you go through to get to a place where it's what you thought it was going to be when you said I do, I think they're all worth it. So I'm always going to come at it with doesn't know, can't do, won't do. You got to learn what a real marriage looks like, what it means to be a husband, what it means to be a wife, what it means to be a married couple, Team Jacobus. And I'm also going to say you got to practice the skills because they don't come natural. And then you've got to believe that your marriage is worth saving, that marriage is worth saving. And I think those are the kinds of things that helped us through tough times, because I certainly, I came to a conclusion a long time ago, you were worth going through whatever I had to. And I think you had the same commitment. And we're only where we are today because other people were kind enough to teach us and encourage us. So that's where I come at.
Right.
What are your thoughts again?
So kind of like what we were talking about too, commitment. You have to, lean in. You have to go through the tough challenges that happen, especially in seasons of struggle. You have to say, I will do whatever it takes. I've asked people before, is there somebody else in the relationship who's pulling you apart? Or is there the thought that there's somebody else there? Sometimes people have started to have little conversations that have gone in the wrong direction. So when I tell people commitment, you have to commit 100% to your spouse to correct the problem or to make it better. The second thing, like we said, was time. Time is so important. Time to heal wounds, time to remedy past problems. That's so critical. But the one I didn't mention a while ago that I think is really very important, your spouse is another human being. And you have to have an appreciation for them. And a lot of times when you're in the middle of struggle or when you're in the middle of a hard time, you really lose sight of that. Remember when we've asked people, tell me 10 things you love about your spouse. I've had folks legitimately tell me, I don't think I can think of one.
Yeah.
And when you lose the ability to see that appreciation for what your spouse is doing or what your spouse has done or who they are as a person, I think you really lose sight of how dangerous your marriage is and how much trouble your marriage is in. So when you have all that going on, when you've made a commitment, you're going to invest the time and a lot of times money into solving your problems, and you have an appreciation for your spouse, you get a better sense of the work that it's going to take to save your marriage. The other thing that I'll tell people that's kind of a aside is find an anchor. Find somebody who's going to keep you anchored in what's the truth, what's the best situation for the both of you, what's the best situation for your family, for your situation. Find an anchor. Of course, a lot of times I'm going to think it's going to be a professional counselor, but a lot of times that anchor can be someone who is a trusted friend or trusted advisor, and they can give you the information that you need to know to get through those rocky seas. An anchor is designed to hold you in the right place. And so that's why I think finding an anchor is so important. I saw a wedding once and I thought that was so cool that, in the marriage, a lot of times you have the vows between the husband and a wife. But in this particular ceremony, they ask all the friends and family to stand up and commit to being involved with helping that marriage and that couple survive. Because how many of us know people who the exact opposite happens? We have the friends or the family who come alongside us and say, oh yeah, you don't need them, go the other way. So once again, be committed, invest the time, show an appreciation for your spouse, and a little bonus, find that anchor, find that person or group of people who are going to keep you foundationally sound in what's the best thing to do for your marriage and for your family. So once again, can this marriage be saved? I think every marriage is worth saving. Every marriage is worth investing. That's why we here at Your Marriage Matters had devoted this time to helping people get more healthy, vibrant marriages. Some of the people out there who listen to us have good marriages or even great marriages, and they want to be a little better. And we hope the tips that we're sharing with you do help that. But we realize that there's a lot of people out there who are really struggling. And once again, we want to be a resource for those folks as well.
Yeah, and when you're talking about the whole anchor thing, I agree with that. Too many times in divorce care, I hear people are hanging out with folks who have lousy relationships that are giving relationship advice.
Yeah, I know.
Always say, check the source, all right? If you're going to do that, check the source. And by the way, we want to be an anchor for you, just like you said. But build as many anchors as you can. For us, I was thinking about when you were saying that. How many anchors do we have? We have our church, all right? We have our church friends. We have the Barnhills. We have your mom and dad whose marriage has, been 60 plus years. We have family that we have commitments to. I was thinking about Lachlan and Beckham and Decker are anchors for us because we want to be great grandparents and we want to model relationships like that. So find those anchors out there, make sure they're quality people. Gang, again, we're here for you. We'll do anything we can to help you. Check out our Facebook page at Your Marriage Matters. Check out our website, yourmarriagematters.com. We are doing some rebuilding a new website, which I'm excited about. So the old one's, it's a little outdated, but the content's still there. You can find all of our podcast episodes and now our YouTube episodes, if you will. You can find us on YouTube at Your Marriage Matters. But here's the deal. We love you. We care about you. Some of you we don't even know, but we believe in you. We believe in your marriage. And when somebody says, can our marriage be saved? The answer is absolutely. And the harder you have to work to save it, the more rich I think it's going to be in the long term. And we're not suggesting you got to create problems to create a more rich marriage, but it can be. And one of the things I think I'm proud of, and I know you are as well, is that we did struggle, but yet we didn't quit. Like you said, we made a commitment. We learned, we keep learning. Today we'll learn something new, I'm sure, about each other and about marriage. And we do have some great anchors in our life. So we encourage you. Can your marriage be saved? Absolutely. And not only can it be saved, it can be amazing. So thanks for joining us.
Join us tonight.
Join us.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. yourmarriagematters.com/webinar1. Just go sign up. It's free. We're not going to spam you. We're not going to do anything. And if you can't make it to the live event, we'll send you the recording. We're going to start doing webinars. We're going to start doing some Facebook Lives. We're going to have some fun. And again, we want to be here to encourage you. So we love you. We care about you. We want the best for your marriage. Thanks for joining us. You guys have a great week out there, babe. I love you.
Love you too.